where we honor you wherever you are in your spiritual path. And we are asking right up front for those here and at home for forgiveness on, we honor you wherever you are. Please honor us wherever we are in our technological path. So hopefully everything will work fine. We're putting it in the hands of Spirit. So please take this opportunity to turn off your cell phone, anything that may disturb the service today, our connection with God. And please rise and greet your neighbors. In honor of the Olympics, we're asking you to exercise and stand up. That's it.
All right, dear hearts. Oh my goodness, I'm so loud. Please go ahead and get ready. We have a guest musician this morning, and we're doing something that is brand new for us in this hybrid situation, which is we have a musician who is Zooming in, and that's why we were so crazed this morning in trying to get it set up so that we could actually see and hear him and go back and forth with the slides. And we thought we had it all figured out back at the office, and then we hooked up to the system, and it had a whole different idea. And so that was kind of a shock. And so Harold Payne is here with us this morning. He is on Zoom waiting to sing for us this morning. He was with us last August. He is an award-winning, a platinum award-winning and Posey award-winning singer-songwriter. His songs have been recorded by everybody from Rod Stewart to Patti LaBelle to Peter, Paul and Mary to Snoop Dogg. And he also has a knack for making up songs on the spur of the moment. So here's Harold, and he can't see you, but you can see him. And hopefully he's going to lead us in some kind of an opening song together. Thank you, Harold. Take it away.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
It's my pleasure to be here. Next time I hope it's actually in person there. Please sing along if you're inclined. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Can you feel it? Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I hope it's happening to you. I can't see you. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. All this love inside, we can let it shine. Something wonderful, something wonderful. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. happening to me right here, right now. Big finish. Something wonderful.
Woo! And Harold, just go ahead and start the meditation song for us, if you would.
Let the peaceful waters tumble down my soul. Let me live in this moment and watch it all unfold. Let this joyful feeling come from deep inside and lift my spirit closer to the light. Oh, I'm letting go. Oh, I'm letting go. I'm gonna roll with the tide, surrender to the highs and lows, to the pull of the moon in the ebb and flow. I am lost in the stillness of a silent prayer, just the movement of breath and a heartbeat there. Let the peaceful waters tumble down my soul. Let me live in this moment and watch it all unfold. Let this joyful feeling come from deep inside and lift my spirit closer to the light. Oh, I'm letting go. Oh, I'm letting go.
Knowing that the infinite presence that surrounds and enfolds us in this place is also the presence that is alive within us. So I know for each one of us this morning that we are awake and alive to the message of Spirit as it comes through the words and the prayers and the music, that it touches that in our soul which most thirsts and hungers for that touch, for that awakening, for that call. We step into this morning in grace, knowing that each one of us is divinely led and guided to be here in this place, that we are here by divine invitation and intention, that we are here together by no mistake, but by divine grace. And so we let this morning unfold in all of its beauty, in all of its uniqueness for each one of us. We hold each other in love. We let the morning unfold in its perfection, and we just let it be with joy, receiving its gifts now with gratitude and knowing that we are indeed deeply blessed. I'm so grateful to know this truth and for the creative law that manifests it for us now. So I let this prayer go into that creative law with joy and ease. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Breathe, and let's invite Harold to take us into his special music this morning, and then I'm going to talk for a while.
Okay. Song by the great philosopher, inspired by the great philosopher Trader Joe. I'm a fearless flyer, I'm a wind rider. I am all I need to be. In the pouring rain of a hurricane, I am flying fearlessly. I am the rose of winter, blooming in the snow, reaching for the sky above from the earth below, growing from a tiny seed, awakening these dreams, believing in the miracle of spring. I'm a fearless flyer, I'm a wind rider. I am all I need to be. In the pouring rain of a hurricane, I am flying fearlessly. Standing on a mountaintop, I take a leap of faith, knowing it's a moment that cannot wait, rolling with the changing current, dancing with the breeze, as inspiration carries me where my soul is meant to be. Yeah. I'm a fearless flyer, I'm a wind rider. I am all I need to be. In the pouring rain of a hurricane, I am flying fearlessly. Here in the silence, the shadows grow long, just like the shining sun. I'm rising with the dawn. I'm a fearless flyer, I'm a wind rider. I am all I need to be. In the pouring rain of a hurricane, I am flying fearlessly. I am flying fearlessly.
Well, I'm looking at this little crowd this morning and thinking, what happened? Where are my people? I know you are, but there's a whole lot of you missing, and I'm distressed. I must say I'm distressed. I just want to start off with that. I know there are reasons why, people are busy going on to whatever's, why is that not working? Whatever's next in their lives. This will work or it won't work. We're in the midst of trying to figure it all out. And it is the Olympics, so there may be people home watching the Olympics this morning. But we have been talking this month about the theme for the year and the theme for this month. So, Pulled by Vision is the theme that we have for this month, and this is the final Sunday, and the talk title is Stayed on Spirit. And that's okay, Sonia, I'm going to run these right now, okay? So stayed on spirit means keeping the focus, absolutely, on that divine presence. And I think that the Olympics is a particularly good time for us to turn our attention to that, because that's what every one of those athletes has done. They have so focused their attention on the passion that lives in them, that they have made a dedication that is above and beyond what we ordinarily experience in our everyday lives. Now, Joe Hughes has done this beautiful Olympic altar for us this morning to recognize the flight and the effort and the energy that has gone into coming to this point, this peak point in their experience of being pulled by that vision to be Olympic competitors. And so the question is, what happens to a mind that is stayed on spirit? So you'll notice that the image shows a bunch of stones that are very oddly balanced, precariously and maybe illogically. They are balanced, though. They continue to be balanced because of the way they've been placed so carefully. So a mind that is stayed on spirit begins to produce incredible results. So when we look at spiritual leaders in the world, like Martin Luther King, like Mother Teresa, who have had a vision and stayed with that vision no matter what, come what may, we look at these folks, whether they're spiritual leaders or they're athletes or they're artists or they're inventors, whatever they may be, and we can see the through line that when somebody is focused in that way, when they're really stayed on spirit, something happens to them, right? Something happens to them. They are transformed in the process of keeping that focus. And so what happens for us is that we begin to see the transformation in them, and it's inspiring to us. Now I'm going to pause for just a second here, because I have to tell you what happens when you're overly focused on something and you need to be, shaken loose. So this morning, I was definitely overly focused on the technology. And seeing that there are not so many of you this morning, it kind of shook me loose. So this story is about getting shaken loose. A woman went to the doctor's clinic and was seen by one of the new young doctors. And after about 4 minutes in the examining room, she ran out of the room and down the hall screaming. And one of the older doctors stopped her and asked her what the problem was. And she explained. And he had her sit down in an empty office just to calm herself for a few minutes. Meanwhile, he stormed back down the hall to the office where this young doctor was. And he said, "What is the matter with you? That woman is 63 years old. Mrs. Terry has 4 grown children and 7 grandchildren, and you told her that she's pregnant?" And the new doctor smiled and nodded and continued to write on her chart. Cured her hiccups, though, didn't it? Sometimes we are so stuck in a particular moment that we need a little shaking up. And I saw some shaking up happen yesterday in the qualifying trials that were happening. 2 of the very highly qualified and highly thought of, expected to achieve a lot in this Olympics, 2 of the athletes had a failure yesterday. One of them fell off the high bar in gymnastics during part of his qualifying process, which likely means that he will not qualify for competition because 2 of his other Japanese companions on his team will do better than he did. He's won 6 world championships. He's been to the Olympics 4 times. This was like a rude awakening, right? It happened to one of the swimmers. He took off and did great. They were doing 4 different styles of swimming. He did great until he got to just the Australian crawl, right? The regular swimming. No, that's where all of a sudden he wound up back behind everybody else. Those 2 athletes took everything to go, and they're not going to make it this time. So there's a huge risk involved in being pulled by a vision and sticking to it in that way. I'm sometimes inspired and a little alarmed, I guess, too, by Thomas Edison, who failed 10,000 times, it's said, in creating a light bulb. And people asked him if he wasn't discouraged. He said, "Oh, what are you talking about? Why would he be discouraged? I've successfully discovered 10,000 ways not to do it." You know, he used to say, people have a dream and they pursue until they reach that point where it looks impossible. He said, that's not the place to quit when it looks impossible. So what happens when somebody stays with the vision, no matter what, is that it begins to transform their internal perception of themselves. They begin to see themselves as somebody who is able to persist, who is able to focus, who has that kind of passion and that sort of strength and follow through. And so to experience that is a tremendously powerful thing. Frank Lloyd Wright, who was famous for his architecture, said once, "I know the price of success: dedication, hard work, and an unremitting devotion to the things you want to see happen." So what are the qualities of passion, of that kind of passion? You know, Ben Zander, who is the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, wrote a book a number of years ago called The Art of Possibility. And he was describing in his book meeting Jacqueline du Pré for the first time. She was a world-famous cellist who I think got ALS and couldn't play anymore. But she was impassioned, I think, right out of the womb. And this is his description of her. He says, "I met Jacqueline du Pré in the 1950s when I was 20 and she was 15, a gawky English schoolgirl who blossomed into the greatest cellist of her generation. We played the two-cello quintet of Schubert together, and I remember her playing was like a tidal wave of intensity and passion. When she was 6 years old, the story goes, she went into her first competition as a cellist, and she was seen running down the corridor with her cello over her head. And the janitor, who saw her with his huge grin of what he took to be relief on her face, said to her, "I see you've just had your first chance to perform." She said, "No, I'm about to." Even at 6, he says, Jackie was a conduit for music to pour through. She had a kind of radical confidence. See, that's what comes from that passion. She had a kind of radical confidence about her own highly personal expression that people acquire when they understand that performance is not about getting your act together, but about opening up to the energy of the audience and the music and letting it sing in your unique voice. That was Jacqueline du Pré. And so we see that one of the first qualities of devotion, a passion, is devotion. It's that continuous repetition, that persistence of devotion to your craft, to your sport, to your art, whatever it might be. And then there is the quality of persistence and determination. Persistence, which means you come back again and again. If you had a bad rehearsal, you had a bad practice, you did poorly, you failed at something, not giving up, but coming back again and again with that same determination and practice. And finally, commitment. It's making a commitment. It's like I tell people when they get married, it's choosing and rechoosing to be together. It's not just one choice that happens on a day when there's a particular ceremony. It's a choice that we make again and again. So when somebody is immersed in that kind of passion, they make a choice that becomes a habit. But it is a choice again and again not to give up when they get discouraged, to go on. And so then we see the last question becomes, and is the quality of passion also a quality that requires sacrifice? And I would say, yes. You know, we don't like to use the word sacrifice much in New Thought. We like to think of it as more, I don't know, effortless, frictionless, you know, and that would be lovely if that's how it was, and it sometimes is, but for us as human beings, there's often a kind of effort involved, whether that's necessary or not. That means that sometimes there is a sacrifice, there's a choice that requires a sacrifice. If you're an artist, you know that there are times when you are engaged in your art and it means that you give up something else because of that practice or because of that thing that you're creating or because of when that thing is due someplace. When you're an inventor, you might miss something else because you're devoted to that particular thing. When you're an athlete, there are a lot of things you give up in order to be at practice or to be at a competition, yes? When I was in high school, the first play I was ever in was a Christmas play. I was playing Mary. I won't say it was typecasting, but I was playing Mary, and one of our practices, one of our rehearsals conflicted with a big football game. Now, I'm not a big sports fan, but I wanted to go to the football game and be there with all my friends. And so a bunch of us tried to convince our drama teacher, who was the director, to cancel that rehearsal, that practice, so that we could go to that game. And she wouldn't do it. I mean, really. It made no sense to us. We were really annoyed by that. And what she said to us was, sometimes you have to make a choice. Sometimes when you have made a commitment to something, it may mean that you have to make a choice to stick with that commitment, even when it means missing something else, or when it means it isn't convenient. And I did not agree with her at all, although now, grudgingly, I have to admit, I think that actually she's right. I have made choices sometimes in my life that in retrospect I looked at, or even immediately afterwards, I looked at and said, I made the wrong choice. I mixed up which commitment was the most important one in that moment. Anybody else ever had that experience? You know, when my son was a senior in high school, and I was at the church in Huntington Beach, he had his awards banquet, his high school athletes awards banquet, on the same night as our new member reception. And so I chose, feeling that it was important, I chose to be at the new member reception. Not that other people weren't going to be there to greet the new members, or that they wouldn't have been able to understand that, or that the board wouldn't have maybe hopefully forgiven me for making another choice. But I chose to go there and to rush as fast as I could over to the awards ceremony as soon as the new member reception was over. And when we pulled into the parking lot, they were leaving. I have never forgotten that. I don't remember any other new member reception we ever did, but I remember that because for me, that was the wrong choice. So sometimes two things that are important happen at the same time, and we have to make a choice as to which one is the vision that's pulling us and why. And so, yeah, sometimes we have to make a sacrifice. And so the question then becomes, is it worth it? What if I am training because I want to be an Olympic athlete, and I train for years and years, and I try again and again, and I never qualify for the Olympics? Was it worth it? I would say yes. And you know why? Because I think that what happens is that the transformation that occurs from the commitment and the persistence and the determination, that self-transformation, that was the point. Not actually the Olympics, which was like, the golden ring. Here's what happens with us. When we go into that place where it matters, we begin to find that we come into a connection with God that persists. You know that runner's high they talk about? We could identify that as a connection with God. It's a connection with the body. It's a connection with the movement. It's a connection with everything around them. They're no longer doing the movement. The movement is happening. And they're experiencing it happening. But they're not the agent of the movement. Not all the time, anyway. What happens with us when we choose to keep our awareness stayed on spirit, our focus stayed on spirit, we outlast the conditions that show up around us that we love or hate or whatever they are. We outlast those conditions. we overcome our own resistance and our reluctance, and we experience the inner transformation that allows us to tap into that connection with God at any time. And yeah, it requires something of us to do that. T. Allen Armstrong said, if there's no passion in your life, then have you really lived? He says, find your passion, whatever it may be. Become it. And let it become you. And you will find great things happen for you, to you, and because of you. And Mary Henley, who's a United States psychologist, said, it seems safe to say that significant discovery, really creative thinking, does not occur with regard to problems about which the thinker is lukewarm. Why? Because we don't have enough commitment to it if it doesn't grab us and pull us. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes? Have there been things in your life that you have been passionate about, that you have been committed to? A person, an organization, a situation, an event? Hello? Okay. I see a few weak sort of nods out there like, hello out there in TV land. Yes? So we know what that tastes like, that commitment. We know what that feels like. It's a little bit harder to do it with God because God is so big and so, hard to get a hold of, it seems like sometimes. And I believe that's because we think that God is something God is not. We don't know who we're dealing with. Look at the lights here in the room. Why do they do that? I don't know how to make them do that. I know how to flip the switch. But I don't know why they do that. I'm not sure how to make them do that. That's God. Now that sounds silly, but it's true. We believe in our teaching that God is all there is, that it's everything, that the presence is everything. The plastic trees, the shoes you're wearing, your name tag, your mask, your t-shirt. We don't have to look so far to find this God that we're trying to connect with. It's everywhere around us, there to connect with us all the time anyway. Joel Goldsmith says, let us not seek the forms of God, but seek the allness of God. And in seeking the allness of God, we shall have all the forms necessary to our own unfoldment. And our own founder, Ernest Holmes, said this, miracles are natural. Every manifestation of faith through prayer, every wonder and sign which has followed the devotional life, that's the phrase I want you to get, which has followed the devotional life, has been an inevitable result of some hidden cause set in motion by the life principle. Every longing and yearning we have ever had, every secret desire of our soul, and every constructive ambition we have had is but a whispering of this power, assuring us that we are one with it, that we are a manifestation or a personification, that we are a center of it. When we get connected to this God presence, and it comes and goes, yes? Moments you feel completely immersed, and other times you want to know what's for lunch. We can be completely aware of it, but what's true is we're always completely connected to it. We can't get disconnected to it because we're made out of it, and it is all there is. So the only thing that gets connected or disconnected from it is our attention, our own awareness of it, and we can re-plug in that attention. I'm going to give you an assignment today that is huge. I want to invite you to try. You're not going to succeed at this, and that is not the point. I want you to try to just think of God once every hour for the rest of the day while you're awake. So right now, here, Pacific time, it's 11:15. I'm going to invite you to think about God again at 12:15, and at 1:15, and 1:45. To just persist in that. Just think of God. That's all. Just persist in that. And if you don't remember until you go to bed tonight, you remembered once. Persist in that. In the book of Deuteronomy, this is what it says to the Hebrew people. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give to you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates. Now let me take that quote from Deuteronomy and put it into metaphysical terms. Okay, you with me so far? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. So that to me in religious science is all is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. In New Thought, I would call this love always. And remember this. And then impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Or put very simply, pass it on. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them to your foreheads. I would say this means love in service and in thought. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them to your forehead. Love in sacred service and in thought. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates. Let all the thresholds of your consciousness welcome the love of the infinite in all. Let all the thresholds of your consciousness welcome the love of the infinite in all. That love of the infinite is coming to us from everything all the time. But we have to look up and let it in. And so part of my assignment to you in remembering God once an hour is to look up and let it in. What's around you at 11:45? Are you having lunch? Are you driving somewhere? Look up, let it in. Your car is the presence. Your lunch is the presence. It's all around us all the time. So that invitation is to keep our minds and our hearts stayed on spirit, to be pulled by that vision, just the way that these Olympians have been pulled. And also, another thing that's on Joe's altar is a group of roses, and that group of roses is there in honor of our mentors and our teachers, our spiritual mentors and teachers, most especially. So think about the lineage that you have come from. Who was your first spiritual teacher? Who did you learn from first? And it may not have been a clergy person. It might have been a rock. Who was your first spiritual teacher? And how did it unfold from there? And each one of those roses represents one of those spiritual teachers. Right here this morning, among our practitioners, we have those who have been our spiritual teachers, our mentors. We have people here who have led teams for a long time. Selma's here, she's served our children for a long time, as well as being one of our licensed practitioners. She has been a teacher to the children. Leslie at the back, who just got finished teaching Prac 2 for our brand new practitioner students who are now practitioners over here, is one of our teachers. So if you have taught for us here, if you have led a team for us here, one of those roses is here for you. I want you to come up and get it after the service and take it home with you today, all right? And lastly, I want to share with you this statement from one of my favorite mystics, Father Sean O'Leary. Father Sean is, he serves a very unusual metaphysical Catholic church in San Jose. He is a maverick in every sense of the word. And I heard him say this in one of his talks once that I watched online. Truth is not the same thing as fact. Something could be factual, but not true. And something could be true, but not factual. Facts are just information, data points about the physical universe. Truth is much different. My definition of truth, he says, is that something is true if it transforms me and aligns me with God. And something is ultimate truth if it transforms me radically and aligns me permanently with God. Truth is not something, though, that is in short supply or is difficult to find. Truth resides within us all the time because we're made from the truth. So I want to invite you to stand up with me and say this affirmation with me this morning. All right? Now this includes your assignment. So we're claiming this assignment as if we're actually doing it, right? And as if we've really got it working for us. Let's say this together. Repetition is magic. I bring my attention around to spirit with gratitude today, once each hour. When I practice turning to the divine, I find its attention is always with me. Yes. You may be seated, and let's take this within. So I'm going to invite you to just put at least one hand over your heart right now. And breathe in, knowing that the air you breathe is the presence of God. Breathe it in. Send it out. This divine presence is as close as my breath. I welcome it. I let it do its work in me now, focusing my awareness and my attention on its wholeness, on its gifts that are my very life, and I am grateful. I let myself be reminded again and again by the beauty of life around me that I am immersed in the love of God. And so it is. And so now we come into our time of sacred offering. Ushers can come forward. Paula, are you the only one? No. Oh, great. Okay. And if you want to text your offering today, you can do that by following the directions that are on the screen. Just text the number to that phone number, the number of what you want to give without a $sign or decimal point, and they'll take care of it from there. And that's all there is to it. That's very easy. And then let us right now take the offering that we have, if you've brought an offering this morning, or if not, you are the gift. And if, by the way, if you're here for the first time this morning, you are the gift, definitely. Put your offering near your heart, and let's bless all the offerings that Golden Gate has received this morning and this week by saying this together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Go ahead. And Harold is going to go ahead and begin now. We're going to put Harold on to do his song now. And this is going to actually I don't know if this is a closing song or not, but this is a song, and it's happening now. So let's go to Harold. I'll come back to this slide. So, Sonia, you're going to have to switch over to him if you can. I hear him. I hear him. There he is.
Without expectation, you are sending out positive vibrations. Oh, and the joy it brings changes everything. Yeah. Unconditional, unconditional love, unconditional, unconditional love. When your heart is willing and open, unconditional love, then this chain of love just cannot be broken. And the joy it brings changes everything. Unconditional, unconditional love, unconditional, unconditional love. This is not the last song. I have one more I'm going to do right after this. I don't know any other way to do it but just to say, in fact, I wrote it based upon the talk that you did today, so I want to get it in. Pulled by vision, stayed by spirit. You can feel it, you can hear it. When you keep the focus on that divine presence, your effervescence will come shining through. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times. When I write songs, I throw out 100 rhymes. And Frank Lloyd Wright had devotion, forward motion to the thing he wanted to see manifest. He was pulled by vision, stayed by spirit. You can feel it, you can hear it. When you get married, you don't just choose once. You choose and re-choose and re-choose again. You're never done. You can train for the Olympics with all your might, and it's still worth the fight, even if you don't end up on the victory stand. Pulled by vision, stayed on spirit. You can feel it, you can hear it. There's an inner transformation, you just become it. You stay on spirit, and you be grateful that you've done it. Just think about God once every hour. Choose and re-choose and choose again to do it. You can feel the power. You'll be pulled by vision, stayed on spirit. You can feel it, you can hear it. When you keep the focus on that divine presence, your effervescence will come shining through.
Woo! Well, that was amazing. Harold, that was terrific. Thank you so much. Hang in there for just a second. I want to accept this offering as us, all of us together. Let's just focus our attention on this basket with gratitude. That this basket not only represents what's given in this room right now, but it represents everything that's been given to Golden Gate in this past week. All the love, all the prayers, all the volunteer time, all of the setup energy that went into this room. It represents all those gifts. And so we as a congregation accept them with great gratitude and appreciation. And we hold them close to our hearts and use them well. And so it is. I've got some announcements I want to do. Don't go away, though, Harold, because I'd like to have you do a closing song for us, if you would. Can he hear me? No? Oh, he can't hear me. Okay.
Did you say something to me?
I did say something to you. What I said was hang in there because I'm going to do some announcements, and you're going to disappear off our screen, but I'd like you to do a closing song for us, if you would, in just a minute.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't know if that was the closing song, so you did
No, I got
know, so
announcements, and I
know,
don't
but
want to close
I'm
without
here.
music. And you can have us all join you. All right, so we're going to go to the slides. This is the tricky part, getting back and forth between these two things. So here comes the slide. So if you're here for the first time this morning, God bless you. You made it through all this. We're so grateful that you were here. We have back at the welcome table, right back there, packets you can pick up that have a welcome card in them. And if you fill out a blue card and leave it at the welcome table, there's a little gift back there for you. We'll make sure that you get it. And, oops, what happened here? We went way back. Hang on. Come on. All right, we did that. All right, we did that. We're getting there. All right. Yes. Okay. Now, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody who has participated this morning in creating the morning service. These are all these folks. If you would give them a loving hand this morning, please, that would be great. And also, I want to let you know that something special is happening the next 2 Sundays. Oh, I can't tell you that yet. They're not all up there yet. Okay, now we can go on. Just like we talked about being pulled by Spirit, something happened to me. It happened to me a while ago, and I discovered that there was a retreat center that did a special spiritual growth retreat in Costa Rica that I tried to get a scholarship for, but I never did. And years went by. And this year, the opportunity arose for me to go, except that I wound up scheduling it before we opened. And then we opened on July 11th, and I was going to be gone on August 1st and 8th. And I didn't want to tell anybody because I thought, I'm going to get in such trouble. But I tell you, I did not want to not open on July 11th because everything fell into place here so beautifully, so perfectly, so easily and smoothly that I knew it was right. So the reason that I was concerned this morning when I saw a small group is that we're going to have guest speakers the next 2 weeks, and I really would like them to have people here. If you can encourage, exhort, drag, invite, tattoo upon your friends, your relatives, your rest of the people from Golden Gate to please come the next 2 weeks so that you will get the experience of them and they will get the experience of you. Hopefully, Reverend Catherine Sachs will be here in the room with you. Everybody loves Catherine. We haven't seen her for a while, but she was here with us on our opening Sunday just to be here. But she's going to speak for you next Sunday. And, you know, I really want her to feel welcome and loved and thought of and cared for. So let's fill up those seats. And then the following week, one of my favorite humans in the world is going to speak on August 8th, Reverend Raymond Anderson. Now, the only trick to it is that Raymond is the senior minister of the church in Greater Baltimore. So Raymond is going to be speaking to you on the 8th the way Harold was singing to you this morning. And you're going to see him big as life and twice as natural. He is my American Sign Language instructor. The man is brilliant. He speaks like 5 languages. He worked as an interpreter for years. He's an artist who does ASL with songs and all kinds of stuff. So who knows what he's going to do. But his topic has something to do with a playful pause. So be ready. Because he's funny, and we'll try to set up an actual camera up here that looks at you so that he can see who he's talking to. But as complicated as it was this morning, just to get everybody on the screen, I can't guarantee that. So I just pray that you will come and love him up. That would be just great. Also, I'm going to be teaching Foundations class in September, and Rachel and Suzanne, who are our new practitioners, who are at the prayer table this morning, by the way, are going to be teaching with me. I encourage you to sign up for it. And one of the great pluses is that it's on Zoom, so you don't have any commute time. You can even be in your PJs from the waist down, we'll never know. You can come to class, and then you can go and have your evening tea and go to bed if you want to. So it's from 6 to 9, 10 Tuesdays, starts September 21st, and one Saturday afternoon, that's, I believe, October 9th, from 1, it says 1 to 4, but it's actually 1 to 4:30. And you will be able to sign up for that starting in August. In August also, August 22nd, Quick Start is coming back with Marilyn Letzos. That is a free workshop from 12:30 to 2:30, also on Zoom. You can email administrator, Sonia's back at the back, administrator@ggcsl.org to register for that. Also, we'd love to welcome Healthy Snacks. This is the brainchild of Steve Einhaus, who's sitting right out here in the yellow shirt. And Steve encourages us to have healthy snacks following the services. So if you are willing to bring some, we have a sign-up sheet over here at this, on the counter. It's moved. It's on the marble counter now, the sign-up sheet. If you would choose one Sunday a month that you would be willing to bring snacks, that'd be terrific. And that leads us to the summer conference. Sign up for the summer conference. Website is up there. It's available. That's for all of CSL. It is online. And let's bring the prayer box over. 2 things are available for you every Sunday. And please take advantage of them, because they're here because it's important. Don't ever leave here with a heavy heart on Sunday. It wasn't meant to be carried in and then carried out again, all right? This prayer box sits over on the practitioner table every Sunday and waits for your prayer requests. If you put a prayer request in the box, it goes into the creative law as soon as you let go of it, actually. But our prayer practitioners will pray over it for that full week following the time that it comes into the box. If you have time on Sunday morning, though, and you would like to have a prayer live, please stop over and request a prayer from one of our prayer practitioners who's on duty at the prayer table, and they will make sure that you get a wonderful, brief, healing prayer. And they'll take you to the prayer space, which is more private than this, for that. So having said that, I'm going to invite you to stand now for the closing prayer. Practitioners, if you would surround the room. And last week we did a chamber of prayer, so this week our time is up, and I'm going to speak the prayer briefly and with a lot of pizzazz, hopefully, okay? So let's take this breath right now of spirit. In this sacred time and space, we remember and recognize that there is only one. There's only one. It's in this room as everything and everyone who's here, this one. It is alive, it is aware, it is present, it is the presence of God. that presence of God is fully, completely, absolutely present in its entirety at every point in time and space, right here with us. It's what we're made of. It's what we come from. It's where we're going. In this now moment, all of the power of Spirit is right where we are. And so I call forth that power and that presence to remind us throughout the day to turn our attention to God, to Spirit, to higher power, to the nameless one, the mystery. To just lift our awareness to that for a few moments once an hour. I call forth our awareness, our memory, our commitment, our desire, and bless it now. And I know, too, that as we go forth into this week, the path unfolds before us in love and light so that we are drawn irresistibly, pulled by vision in exactly the right ways for us. I'm so grateful to know and accept this for all of us here and for all of our loved ones not here this morning, and know that it is already done in the mind of God and within us right here and now. So I let this prayer go, and I simply let it be. And together we say, and so it is. And so it is. So please join me for the benediction, and then we will turn it over to Harold for the closing song, whatever that is going to be. All right? I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For Spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. All right, let's remain standing. And we're going to go back to Harold now. And you tell us what to do, Harold.
There's a winding road where I learned to run, run, run. Well, the race is long, but it can be won, won, won. With every step we're taking, with every choice we're making, with every bend in the road, we get stronger. We can reach up, we can reach out, we can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we want to be. Hey, we must believe we can share the dream. There's a dead-end street where I used to play, but I found my wings. I can fly away. Below the street lights fading, ahead is my future waiting. Beyond the doubts and the fears, I can see it. Oh, I can see it. We can reach up, we can reach out, we can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we want to be. Oh, we must believe we can share the dream. I don't know if I should keep on sharing, if people are already out of the building, but I'm willing.
You can wrap it up.
We can reach up.
Thank you, Harold. Thanks for being with us today. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today and for your beautiful patience as we went through the process. Sonia, if you can go back to that last slide, we'll have our thank you, goodbye. Everybody, thanks for being here. There we go. All right, everybody. We did it. We did it. Have some coffee. Enjoy your day. Hallelujah.